Hi guys, and welcome back to Rachel's Enchanting Cakes. Now today I'm going to show you how to make wired sugar roses for your wedding cakes or celebration cakes. So what are you going to need? Obviously modelling paste of your choice. Now I'm going to be making roughly about 48 sugar roses. I'm not going to be needing them all, but my advice to you is always make more than you're actually going to need. So I've made an awful lot of modelling paste, as you can see here. There is a separate tutorial on modelling paste which I will leave in the links below. Some scissors, edible glue. This is just florist tape which we're actually going to be using on our floral wires. Now I'm choosing to use a 22 gauge floral wire. These are extremely important. These are called flower picks. You can get them from any good cake decorating store. You never insert a wire into a cake, so we use these. These are food grade, and the wire is actually going to be going inside of the flower pick, and the flower pick then goes inside the cake. That's very important, especially for food hygiene reasons. You're going to need a set of cutters. Now I've chosen to have about 5 here, but these come in lovely sets. These ones, the first 3, are by FMM, and you can get a lovely set. I think it's about 6 cutters. I just bought these individually because I realised that the set I had here just weren't enough. They weren't making large enough roses. The more cutters you have, the more variation you can have in your roses. They don't all have to be the same size that way. And this is very important as well. So I've got a foam pad. This is going to be used to ruffle the petals, and also a ball tool. So that's what you're going to need, and let's get on with it. Okay then, so the first thing that we have to do is prepare the wires. So I've already prepared some here, but I'm going to show you what to do step by step. Take one of your wires. I'm going to just do this over my dark surface so you can see, fold it in half. Now you could use a different gauge on your wire so it was thicker, but the reason I do this is because when I've wrapped it in floral wire, I like it to be quite thick. So the gauge does not change the thickness of the wire, it just makes it less bendy. But I like it to be quite thick to make my roses sturdy. Get your florist tape and then you tug it like that. That's what makes it sticky. And just wrap it around. And it is literally as simple as that. Okay, so there's your wire. All I'm going to do now is just cut. Obviously I don't want it as long as that, so then I like to halve them. So I'm going to pick up one of these, just place it over the top just to get them about the same, but we will be trimming these down anyway. And simply with your scissors, cut it like so. And there we have 2 more. The next part of the tutorial is to simply get your rose to this stage here. So as you can see, we've got a cone shape just on the top of some florist wire, the florist wire that we've just previously prepared. I am using an upside down egg box, and I have placed little holes in the top of each where the eggs would have gone, and just simply placed them in. This is a great way for storing them because this will need to be left for a good 24 hours to let all of the modelling paste set before we actually start adding the petals. I'll explain why in just a little moment. So what do you need to do? I've got one more to make just here. Take your time doing these. So you've got something just a little like that there. I'm going to take my wire and I'm actually going to dip one end into the glue like so, just so it's all covered. And then gently insert into here. And there we go, that's ready for another row. So now, whilst I leave it to dry, I'm just going to pop it onto my egg box like so. Remember, I've put holes in this previously using a cocktail stick, otherwise you will not get the wires in. So why do we need to leave them overnight? I was impatient once, and when I was new to this and started making roses, if you do not leave them overnight, I'm going to use this one as an example because I can do it again. When you're putting on the petals, we're going to be putting them on upside, and the weight actually makes that just come straight off. Simple as that. So what you need to do, you really do need to leave them overnight to set completely before you start adding the petals. I'm just going to place an image on what we're actually going to be producing, as I've already done it with these first 6 roses, so you know what it needs to look like. Okay then, so how have we done that? And again, we're going to leave these to set overnight before we add any more layers. I've chosen one cutter, one of the smaller cutters. I've decided to use 4 out of the 5, so it's the next one up, and I've cut 2 of these out from modelling paste. Very, very thin modelling paste, about 1 millimetre to 2 millimetres thick. This one, I have already, if you can see how different it looks, manipulated. So we're going to make this one look more like this using the ball tool. So I'm going to show you how to do that first. I'm just going to cover this back up with my food grade bag so it doesn't go dry, because remember we're working with modelling paste. Now on your ball tool there'll be 2 ends. I like to use the thick end. We always do different things different ways. I never say there's any wrong or right way to decorate a cake. And you literally just do this, just around the edges of your lovely. So if I show you that now, you can see it looks completely different. Then I'm going to turn it upside down. Ball tool in the centre, and then on each petal, from the middle of the petal to the centre, just to give it a little bit more definition. And that's all you need to do. Ball tool to one side. I'm just going to move these out of the way for now. So then, we have the centre of our rose. The next job is to turn this upside down and place some glue, for now, just on the base. You then lift up the petals that you've started and insert it straight through the centre like so. Again, working upside down. Now we're going to lift it the right way around. Now our job with these petals is to get rid of this centre completely, just so that you cannot see it. So a lot of manipulations going on to this. I'm going to fill it with more glue, and that's why I always make 2, because we're really going to be pulling these petals up and pinching them together just like so. You see? They are very time consuming roses, I'm not going to lie to you, so if you do have an order with them, see how it's changing now. Need a little bit more glue around here. You do need to take that into consideration when pricing, especially if you're doing them for a large cake. Okay, now I'm really happy with that, but if I put it right to the camera, you might think I'm being a little OTT. I can still see a little bit of that centre. So all I'm going to do is pinch that. I don't want to see any of that centre whatsoever. That's just like a little mould to wrap our petals around, and that is beautiful. And then all we're going to do now is turn it upside down again. This is what I was referring to with the weight and why you had to leave it to dry overnight. And these are going to get left again, because if we start adding too many petals at once, we're just going to end up in a sticky mess. Your modelling paste will dry. Okay, and then upside down again. These ones don't need to be distorted quite as much. Okay, and it's already looking like a beautiful rose. I think that one's sticking out a little bit too much. This is where you manipulate your petals, so I'm going to push that in slightly, and a little bit of glue just on there. And that's looking lovely. So all I'm going to do now is place this to one side again for another 24 hours before we add the remaining and last part of the petals. We're almost at the final step. Now all I have done is use these 3 larger cutters and done exactly the same thing to those petals with the ball tool as I did for these ones. Now we're going to apply this to the rose, which I will speed up for you and just show you how to do it. I might not necessarily use all 3 that I've cut out. I'm going to see how large this gets and then just use my judgment as to when to stop. So these are nice and hard now because they've been left overnight, and look, if I hold it upside down there's no worry of it falling off, which is why you leave them. So if I just remove this first of all. Okay, so again, glue, and there we go. I'm really happy with that, and I'm really happy with the size that it's turned out at. So the next part of the tutorial, I'm going to show you how to actually use those flower picks. But for now, I'm going to leave this overnight again just to set before we insert this securely into the flower pick, which I explained previously, which will then go directly into the cake. Okay then, so we're almost finished. All I'm going to do now is show you how to place it into the flower pick very securely, so you'll literally be able to turn it upside down and it still won't come out. So what you're going to need, flower picks. I like to use some fondant. And in here I've got what we call in the UK glaze icing. It is literally just icing sugar and water mixed together, but when the air gets to it, it actually starts to set and goes nice and hard. So first of all, I just want to show you how secure this rose is. So you can see the wire there. We've built it up beautifully, but if I hold it upside down, and that's how they need to be, that's because it's been left plenty of time. So what am I going to do? Well, I have one of my flower picks here. I'm firstly going to get a little tiny bit of fondant. You don't need much at all. And roll it into a small sausage like so. And then I place it inside the actual, if it doesn't fall out, the actual flower pick. Right then. Now before I do anything else, you can already see this glaze icing is wanting to come out. I'm going to push that in. I'm using a number 2 piping nozzle. You don't want them too large. Bring it down there like so. And I like it so the glaze icing is on the top, because then when we cover the rose, or push the rose in should I say, like so, the icing is also underneath here. So once it's been left for a while, that is what you will literally be able to insert into your cake. I can still hold it to the side at the moment, but once it's set, you will be able to hold it upside down. And that is the best way I have found to do sugar roses. Food grade, safe, but not only that, you don't really have to worry about roses falling off. I have heard nightmare stories when they've not been wired, they haven't had these in, and it's literally just this part that's stuck to the cake. These roses end up fairly heavy. So this, to me, just gives me that extra peace of mind. So go ahead, guys, and start making your own sugar roses. Give it a go. I won't lie, it's very repetitive, time consuming, but at the end, the results are just outstanding. Go for it, guys, and happy baking.